Namaskar to all. It's indeed a great privilege, honor, and pleasure for me to be here amidst an audience which has some remarkable entrepreneurs as well as students who are going to enter one of the most important parts of their life into a professional course, a stepping stone into a journey outside their homes, maybe for the people for the first time it must be, and also a stepping stone into the wider world in future. It does remind me of almost like 39 years back when I joined IIT Roorkee in the class of computer science. And I can really understand the kind of enthusiasm, the kind of anticipation, the kind of various feelings one goes through. But I must tell you that this is one of the most remarkable occasions you would have in your life, and a great journey awaits you ahead. It's again indeed a pleasure for me to come to the beautiful state of Sikkim, and greetings to the people of Sikkim and the northeast from another beautiful Himalayan state of Uttarakhand. We share so much in common with each other. And indeed, it's not been an easy journey because I had to go from Dehradun to Calcutta to Bagdogra, and Bagdogra to Gangtok. But I think in some ways this pilgrimage was necessary because I really wanted to see Medhavi Skills University. I must tell you that. Because we at Setu, where I'll speak about, are also doing many, many things. And I thought it is really necessary for me to see that in a small state like Sikkim, it's a beautiful state and the clean state of Sikkim, they are building a university which is taught thousands of people. It is building, is working on a new set of values. And I must say that since evening, when I came to know a lot about university, and today, I'm really, really more and more feeling that I made a right decision to come here. I must tell you that. And many of the concepts which he told, earn while you learn, I tell you, when I began my career, Sikkim, Northeast and Eastern India was part of my territory, way back in the early 90s. And we had computer science courses, we had earn while you learn. So many things, as they say, like artificial intelligence, we say today is taking over the world. But I did my BTech project in artificial intelligence, by the way, Lisp programming. So it's been there since long. So many things have been there, but these concepts have taken absolutely new importance and new value nowadays. The whole skill model, before I come to some of the main parts of what I share with you, I must share about my experience and my reflections on what Mr. Dudani said some time back. I was truly impressed with whatever he said. And I think that shows an entrepreneur's determination to make an impact. Having been an entrepreneur myself for many years, I can clearly see that fire, that determination to make an impact which is there. And the whole skill model is changing today. In this highly volatile world, even what we are, the Government of India even also, of course the Prime Minister has been very keen on, since the beginning of his tenure, on skill development strategies. And we had the NSTC strengthening, we had various things going on, the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Kendras, the last year the internship, the whole people giving companies money to hire people, and today we are talking of ITIs to be run by the industry itself, which is there. So the whole skilling model, skills are so important. I'll come to that chapter later on, of course, that part which is there. But the future of learning is definitely imbued deeply with skills, and to have a very clear industry run to an industry integrated model in a true sense. In Uttarakhand also, we are on the verge of starting a skill development center in alliance with the Indian Hotels, the Taj Group, which is there, where industry is going to run that. Plus we are also having ITIs working with various large industries. So very clearly, in the learning, skill has to play a very important role. And the way I think it has been integrated in Medhavi, that it is 1 year minimum they have to do, I think that's a true model. And that I clearly see, because the kind of words I straddle from the highest levels of corporate India to the public policy at the state level and the central level and globally. I can clearly tell you that skill is skill learning to a large extent, to an almost 50%, which is there minimum, is going to be the model of learning which is going to be there. So for students, who said that why in other universities it is not there and why it is so much compulsory out there, the message is very simple. We all started our work. Do you want to struggle when you start, or do you want to make your start in a confident way? The choice is very clearly yours. So if you want to start in a confident way, then you have to imbibe those skills from now on itself. And if you want to start in a way which is struggling, in that sense, then you can, do all your theoretical studies, the way other universities do. And when you go into an industry, I tell you the world is completely different from what you have thought of. So do you want to enter into a work in a shock and awe and struggling way? No. So therefore, it's a complete no-brainer. You have to be deeply into practical on-the-job learning experience during the course. So I think the whole Medhavi model, I'm so impressed with it. And the way they are doing it, and that's the future. That's not actually the future. It has arrived already, actually, of learning in India. And almost everywhere it is, I can tell you very clearly. And so on. So I think in my introduction, she told me about Setu. She told you about Setu. So Setu stands for State Institute for Empowering and Transforming Uttarakhand. It is a state planning board, and which is responsible for planning of, giving inputs and also building action-oriented models in the area of policy building for the state, in the area of skilling, in the area of industry, in the area of agriculture, in the area of energy, water resources, multiple areas we straddle through. And it's indeed a great experience. It's indeed something which you're making truly an impact which is there. So as I move forward in my interaction with you, I think three things are very important which I wanted to share with you today. One is India's relentless march to progress. That is one. Second is the extreme volatility which we see today. And third is what is in it there for you, and what values and what message, what kind of focus and so on and so forth you should do at this time of your career, of your life. So India's relentless march is completely there. And though of course there have been many reasons, and there have been certain amount of, you can say, adverse news in the recent times which we see that. But we are the fastest growing large economy in the world today, with 6.5% growth rate and continuing to come. India's growth is assured. It will become the fifth largest. It's on the way to become the fourth and third and so on and so forth largest economy in the world. So you all are going to enter the world of professionalism at a time when India is poised for stronger growth in times to come. So there has been never a greater time and a better time in India in the history of our nation to be really entering an more active life as what you have. So we're very lucky in that sense, I must tell you now. And so that's one important, and that's been because of three very, very important things. These three important things are our spiritual strength as a country, the geopolitical situation, and various measures and policies which the government has taken in the last few years. And that is one of the great reasons why we have been so resilient. Even there has been, as they say, a 50% tariff on 50% of our exports to our biggest exporting partner in the recent times. India remains very resilient. And we did not go, like the Swiss Prime Minister had to go to Washington, and she did not get an audience from the president. The prime ministers or the presidents of the various countries of the world are making a beeline to go to Washington to plead their case. But India is very, very clear. In the light of these kind of adverse situations, our march will continue. We will not change our fundamental values. Our prime minister does not negotiate on telephone and in an adversarial situation. And India is a very large, strong, and a proud nation to be able to, and that shows a resilience. And actually, that's one of the messages for you very clearly today, that you have to be resilient in your career, in your life, because you will pass through these situations. And I will talk about when I come to volatility. So India is relentlessly marching. These are small blips which we are seeing today. And as I said, the geopolitical situation is very much favorable to us today in many, many ways. The policies which have been laid down in the recent years, and the Prime Minister's clear, again, promise in the 15th August speech that India will go for bold reforms. And I was with the top officials of the Government of India in the Prime Minister's office recently. There is a clear determination at the highest levels of the leadership in India. I was at Niti Aayog also day before yesterday, and with the top leadership. It's very clear. This whole moment is making us go for far more bold policies which are there. So that's one thing which is there. So India's relentless march continues, and you had a very, very good time. And the third thing which I said, one of the strong regions for it is our spiritual strength. And that is also, there also lies one of the very important messages for you, which I will share later on, is on the spiritual strength of this country. Because we have thousands of years of civilization. We are not somebody who has just been born. And many of the concepts, we have been a global leader always, which is there. In terms of education also, and there are some very clear examples. After 700 years when the first college in Oxford University was coming up in 1200 in Bailey College, at that time, India's finest universities, Nalanda, was burning after 700 years of glorious existence. So such is the kind of history we have, the whole linguistics, the kind of inventions, the kind of thing so our spiritual strength is clearly one of the biggest drivers for our country's progress, which is in times to come. So that is one part. So India's relentless march, and you are at the right place at this moment, which is there, entering the professional world. The second thing is extreme volatility. The world is changing at a breakneck speed. I must tell you that. As recent as I was reading Harsh Jain, who's the CEO of Dream 11, he said a business of 14 years was gone in 3 days. On Tuesday, the Rajya Sabha passed the online gaming prohibition bill. The Lok Sabha passed it the next day. The president gave its assent on Friday, and it was a law on Saturday. So in 3 days, a business of 14 years was gone. It's 100% of profits and 95% of revenue. Think of it. It is as late as if fresh from the oven, actually. There are so many other examples I can tell you. But this is as fresh as that. So this is the kind of volatility we live today, which is there. This is the kind of change we are going through. Artificial intelligence, we all know, is completely reshaping the world. And the kind of impact it is making is absolutely not possible for you to imagine. It is the new, if you are not knowing artificial intelligence today, or then you are possibly going to be in the league of illiterates of tomorrow. That is the kind of message I can share with you. I've straddled this world. My last role with Aditya Birla was making generative AI strategy for the $70 billion Aditya Birla group, which is there. And it's been, for decades I've been part of this, which is there. So extreme volatility will be there, and world is changing at far more rapid speed than what you can imagine, which is there. And especially for people who are, I have a base in Bombay, I have worked in Bangalore, I've worked globally, I still, spend a lot of time with and I am from my home state of Uttarakhand, where I spend 60% of my time, and rest of the time I'm globally or in other cities. I can clearly see the change. And for people who are in this audience, most of them, who are from the states which are a little away from the fastest changing areas of India as a clear message, because the world is getting integrated. You have to be able to, and the change will come here sooner or later in a far bigger way. And it's already coming actually in many ways. So you have to be adaptable to change. You have to be, and the kind of volatility you will see is still, the whole industry models are completely changing. The kind of money which is putting in AI, this year itself, $350 billion of capex is going to be put into AI. $60 billion to $70 billion, and these are not small sums, which is there, is being put by Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Meta, and so on. So all of them are putting this much money. What is $350 billion? If you see that, that's the kind of money being put in AI in this year itself, 1 year in capex. So that is the kind of investment which is happening in artificial intelligence today. And it's going to reshape like anything. So I think the change is so much at that scale which is there. So first thing I was telling you is India's relentless march, and it continues. The second is the great change which is happening. And the third is that now, what is in it for you, actually? What are the kind of values you should imbibe today? And what is the kind of attitude you should have towards what you're doing? So in this changing world, you may have a qualification, but that qualification may be a good starting point for you. And at the same time, it's no longer going to, in this world which is changing so fast, even today, and I tell you, me who is a computer science from IIT 35 years back, and being in top positions in various groups and so on and so forth, and went into public policy full-time last year, it's a significant change. And I stay very curious today. I learn 2 hours every day. I'm not able to take rest till I do. It is very hard to keep up with the kind of change which is happening. So you have to really work hard. You have to be able to really be hungry and for learning still today. As I said, my own personal example, even at this level and age and whatever you call that, my desire and hunger for learning and curiosity has not got lightened a single bit, even what it was 35 years back. And I think that's the kind of value you will have to imbibe in yourselves. Change. There will be change. And I took this change. See, when I was joining public policy, everybody said, why do you need to do that right now? You can do it after retirement. At the president in the Birlas means you can be happily there till you retire. And working on things like artificial intelligence at the cutting edge of it completely. But I made a bold decision that this is the time now to be looking at what kind of wider impact can be made in public policy, which is there. Because that's kind of impact India needs today. And I can clearly tell you that, and somehow it gets vindicated. I was talking to the chairman of PwC recently, I was reading what he said, is that modern leadership has to be able to navigate multiple worlds. You have to be able to very seamlessly get into different worlds. Whether you are in corporate sector, whether you are in public life, whether you are in public policy, or dealing with students or dealing with anyone, you have to be able to, so ability to navigate multiple worlds seamlessly is one of the most important characteristics you will have to develop. And that's what it means, and that can only be done by preparation. And that's where I think the on-the-job learning thing model again comes in. You can't be waiting for getting to a job and having some shock out there. You have to be prepared well before that. Preparation, luck is, of course, God has something written for all of us. That is something different. Not everything is in our control. But at the same time, you have to be able to be, opportunities will come many, many times in your life. You have to be prepared to take on them. So I think the ability to, as I said, first thing was learning. Continuous learning, which is there. And learning is a great joy, I can tell you that. Coming from the family of academicians, maybe I can say more about it. But it's what I'm saying is not theory. What I'm not saying is what should happen. It is 35 years of my experience at the top of the corporate world, and now in the policy world at the highest levels. So I think I can clearly tell you that you have to learn every day, which is there. And that I do, and I think you can all do, which is there, students. And the second part, as I said, is that ability to navigate multiple worlds. I think that's the ability you will have to really develop in yourselves, which is there. Because that's what he was also saying, that today, the whole, in last 1 year, the kind of public policy changes which has been brought by some of the global leaders have totally upended the world. You know, nobody thought that the Europeans will get a dressing down in Washington, or suddenly China will become, pariah, and the next day it will become. So that's kind of global change which is happening. And this is impacting companies like anything, organizations like anything, which is the tariff changes, everybody is reworking, and so on. And it's not just because of an individual, but because it is actually adding to what's already there. The mix was already there. The changes of technology, the changes in society, and so on and so forth are completely there. So I think, so it is not, I'm not really surprised at what is happening. Nothing surprises me actually now, because anything can happen. This is the kind of world you have to be prepared for it. So I think ability to navigate multiple worlds is going to be a great quality for the leaders and you as you step in, which is there. And you have to be able to, when you learn, you have to be able to go across disciplines. And I think that's a very important quality which is there. Tomorrow's leadership is not about being skilled in one particular area. You have to be able to have an understanding of multiple worlds and see the intersections, as they say, medical and technology, which is there, or skill development and technology, or agriculture and technology, agriculture, hospitality and technology. So I mean, the whole idea is that you have to have an interest in multiple areas. You have to be able to see how the value chain is. You have to be able to see what is the trend is, what are the people, what is happening, and then see what is the intersection. And you can find your niche there, as they say that, which is there. So you have to be able to do that. I think that's a very important part of, and for example, as I said, my role, I find so interesting, actually, though it's very different in many ways. Last year, till I was, a year back or so, I was looking, for example, for digital transformation in Aditya Builders' global aluminum operations. It's one of the largest aluminum operations in the world. Novelis and Hindalco is a $22 billion company with plants across the world. So I was talking about that, and I was going deep into it, what the plants are doing, and so on and so forth. And today, I'm actually dealing with agriculture, and I see great potential in agriculture, which is there. And I see that the productivity levels, especially the hill farming, are so low. And I think Sikkim, though, has been a pioneer with being declared an organic farming state way back. But agriculture is a huge potential area. Health is a huge potential area. I clearly see. It's a long topic, so I won't spend much time on it. But I think I find such an interest in agriculture. I find great interest in energy, which is there. I spend good time in skill development, new models of skills. So you have to be able to work across these areas, which is there. And the last thing before I sign off for today is the spirituality. You must develop spiritual dimensions of your personality. I think that's extremely important, because how do you handle this kind of change which is going to happen, the change which you will see in your campus and beyond, and you see in the world today, and make a sense out of it? And I can tell you, spirituality has the best answers for that. Even if you see our Indian spirituality, I am a student of Advaita Vedanta, which says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the divine flame. What a profound statement. That means you have that capability to be, an embodiment of God, which is there. That means how much ability you have. You're not an ordinary individual of flesh and blood, susceptible to some small pricks and so on and so forth, and then crying. But actually, you are part of the universe, and you have such kind of ability which is there. This is the kind of, and this is not today's. The whole philosophy of Advaita Vedanta is thousands of years old, which is there from our Vedas, and so on. So I think that's where the great answers are there. It gives you depth. It gives you so much of, and you feel that, okay, this, as they say, this thou shall pass, and you have such a potential to be able to make a huge impact in the world, and that will give you a confidence, and there is nothing more than like confidence in the world which is there if you're going to live in it. So that's one important part. Even for example, you have Buddha's two arrows theory, which they say that the world will throw a lot of things at you as one arrow, which is there. A lot of things at you, internally, externally, and so on and so forth. But what happens to you is not so important. But how you react to that situation is most important. That's the second arrow which Buddha said, which is there. That's the two arrows theory of Buddha. So such as so many greatest answers to change, and the world has always been, today we might see a lot of change, but actually the world has always been changing. It is from timeless moments it's been changing, whether it is the time of Panini and Alexander and Gupta and Mauryas, and the world was actually far more volatile and difficult in those days, which is there. The kind of, so in many ways, so this, as I said, Buddha's two arrows theory, it makes you feel resilient. You realize that, in the same situation, some of you are in medical technology, you go to hospital, one patient will have a similar ailment than other, but one patient will be always worrying, what will happen to me, and so on and so forth, anxious and so on and so forth. Other patient will be being calm about it. So who is handling it better? And so experience is what we react to, what we respond to, which is there. So I think, and all of these things are in our philosophy, which is there. So I think you must develop a great interest in your philosophy. There's no, of course, I've studied Chinese philosophy. There's so great things to learn also out there. But to begin with, our Indian philosophy itself has great lessons for us. And that is the kind of spirituality message I must share with you, that you should develop an interest. And I'm so happy that my son, who is in Bombay, and it is one of the most, and we have a home in Bandra West in Bombay. It is as modern as it can be, a place which is there. And he started recently developing an interest in spirituality. I can tell you there's no greater joy for me that he's wanting to learn that, which is there. He is developing an interest in that area. So that's the kind of message I'll give it to you, which is there. So thank you so much. I think I can speak on many, many things, but as they say, all good things have to come to an end at some time. And thank you once again for inviting me here. Indeed, it's a great opportunity. And it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.